Hello there. StaySafe have just launched a new and exciting feature called the Notes on Check-in and Extended Session functionality. And this is a brief introductory video explaining how this new feature works. The new feature allows hub managers to set optional or mandatory notes for loan workers during a session. Just a couple of things to note on the new functionality. The first is that the loan worker must be running the latest version of the StaySafe app. On Android devices, it is version 1.6 or later, and on iOS devices, it is version 2.9.0. The second thing to note is that this new feature can only be enabled by StaySafe account managers at your request. Historically, we've only ever asked loan workers to enter optional notes when they start in the session. But with this new feature, hub managers are now able to set optional, disabled, or required notes for loan workers when they're starting, checking in, or extending a session. This ensures that you have the most up-to-date information on your loan workers. I will now go on to show you a brief demonstration on this new functionality. For the purposes of this demonstration, I have set notes on starting a session to required, so which means my loan workers are mandated to enter notes when they start in the session. I've also set notes on checking in to optional, so which means my loan workers have the option of whether or not to enter notes when they're checking in. And lastly, I have set notes on extending a session to disabled, so which means my loan workers are not required to enter any notes when they're extending their session. So just to show you how the new feature works. So on starting the session, I'll go on to start my session. As usual, I'll select my time period, confirm my location. Now, if I attempt to skip this step, ideally you should not let me do that because there's a mandate on me as a loan worker to enter notes before I go on to start my session. So if I try starting the session without entering any notes, it brings up this message that says note too short, as you can see, so which means that I'm required to enter some notes before I'm able to check in. If I'm able to start a session, beg your pardon. Wall Street. So notes entered, I am now able to start my session. The next is the check-in functionality. So what I set for check-in is optional, so which means I've got the option of entering some notes when I'm checking in. So if I go to check-in using my save pin, again, the same page appears as it did when I was starting my session. So I now have the option of entering some notes. Notes entered. I have successfully checked in as well. The next is the extend session functionality, which I set to disabled, and that means that I'm not required to enter any notes when I'm extending my session. So I'll go on to extend my session now using my save pin and choosing how long I wish to extend my session for. So that allows me to extend a session successfully without the need to enter any notes. Furthermore, on this new feature, as a hub administrator, you're able to see the notes that the loan worker has entered when they start a session or when they check in. And if you go to view their route and view notes, you're able to see the notes that I just entered when I started my session and equally when I checked in. Again, this just means that you're able to get the most relevant and the most up-to-date information on every loan worker session. So that's been a brief introductory video on how the new functionality works. If you're interested in this new feature, please get in touch with your account manager um, or contact StaySafe support at support@staysafeapp.com. Thank you very much.